Follow us on social media. On Facebook, facebook.com/The Tag Team Podcast. On Twitter, @Tag Team Podcast. On Google+, The Tag Team Podcast. Email us at thetagteampodcast@gmail.com. Leave us a voicemail on the tagline 6016544 that's 60165444824. You can also listen on Soundcloud by searching the Tag Team Podcast.
You're listening to the Tag Team Podcast, the podcast that is a WWE Network companion, currently covering 1984 WWF Tuesday Night Titans. And now here are your Tag Team Podcast hosts, Jeff Jones and John Burke.
Good to see you. I'm John Burke.
I'm Jeff Jones, and I'm back.
How was the trip to Bosleyville?
It was scary, to say the least.
Does he live like Captain Lou?
Sort of like a Captain Lou and a Sargent Slaughter with the tents. He isn't doing very well, but he says he's doing fine. I told him that he was missed, and that anytime he wanted to come back would be good, and we were looking for replacements. So I kind of let him know, hey, be good to have you back, but if not, we'll move on.
Yeah, we've got 3 viable candidates.
I heard.
Possibly 2.5.
Well, I don't know about Alice. I don't know about her. She likes to look at the wrestlers. I think some of her time would be just ADD and off instead of actually doing research. I have to ask her.
Yeah, I might have to ask the guy that's there for the ladies, too. This might be the easiest thing we've ever done, narrowing down the candidates.
I guess we can give it another week. I might go to Monster this time and put an application out.
There you go.
And give it another week, and then we can make our decision. Maybe we can put a poll up on the Facebook to see who the listeners want to hear.
Yeah, that'd probably work. So tune in next episode and we'll have a poll up and we'll narrow down each candidate maybe by their audition so you guys will know who's who.
Sounds like a plan. Let everybody know what's going on. Anything going on with you this week?
Not really. Watch some movies, but other than that, none of them were fantastically great.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
How about you?
Nah, Bosley Land. That was the major part. It's like a soda. We're in the world's Carmen Sandiego. I'm trying to find out where he is. But yeah, other than that, no. Hopefully next week will be a little more adventurous and I can bring a little more to the table.
Well, we can't always be adventurous every week, but if you go on to see Bosley, then yeah, you're probably good. That's parts unknown. Not too many people come back from there, I've heard.
I had to be quick and watch my back.
Understandable. Dangerous parts unknown.
Oh yeah.
And you're on Bosley's home turf, and yeah, you never know what he could do. It's a wild man.
I'll be sure I wore my neutral gang colors, so it didn't stick out.
Always a good strategy.
I tried to do my research for going to Bosley Land. Make sure I knew where to step, where not to step, who not to talk to, what to wear, what not to wear, what time to go out, kind of deal.
That's good, man. You probably did more research than I would have. That's what I got robbed and probably stuck there.
Well, dedication, what can you say?
Dedication indeed.
We need Bosley back.
I don't know. Maybe not. I'm not willing to write anyone off on my EOE.
Is that a fact?
Yeah, he does have some experience though, so we'll see.
All right. I'm game for new faces, or maybe we can have them come in on separate days and maybe have 2 different voices. Kind of change it up a little bit.
Man, did you get a 3rd job that I didn't know about? Who's paying all these people?
I may or may not put in some overtime. You never know.
Okay. Definitely isn't from this job, that's for sure.
No, but I went yard selling and done some Monopoly games, so we may be able to get that 3rd person in after all.
All right. All proceeds benefit the Tag Team Podcast researcher.
Definitely. Then we can get some little hotels and houses, give them some place to live.
Free room and board.
That's right.
Yeah, exactly.
On Boardwalk, baby, the only place to live.
That's true.
It's worth it.
That's what I'm saying.
Let's recap.
Previously on the Tag Team Podcast.
We had episode 12, October 16th, 1984. We had Vince McMahon and Lord Alfred Hayes open up the show, and Vince welcomes Alfred Hayes as the elder uncle of Boy George. And Alfred states it's because the color of his suit. Vince McMahon moves on from the topic, which I don't think that's what he was referring to. The next segment, we have Sargent Slaughter, and he brings us to his private location where he trains his Cobra Corps. And we learn that if your name is Coon, you have a very good chance of getting in, and it's not a great idea to dress up as your leading commander because you will get called out. Next on the set, we have John's favorite character, Tito Santana, joining the set.
Cheeto.
And John was very happy to know that he come out on crutches.
About time.
And we still believe that it's because of the referee that he didn't pay off in his match with the Sheik, that he has a knee injury. And we cut to a match before his injury of Tito Santana and Rene Goulet. And then next we cut to the footage where we have Tito Santana actually getting the knee surgery. I have to say that I was never able to keep my sunglasses on up to and after the procedure. Ole. Next, we have Big John Studd joining the set, and he promised us 3 weeks ago from that day that he was going to bench 700 pounds.
True story.
And we found out that it was really only 630 pounds that he actually was able to lift successfully the first time. And that was supposed to be the warm-up. And I believe we counted the weights, and it was
655.
655 was actually on the bar, plus the bar. So it was total 655 instead of the 700. And he failed to get it the first time. So Vince says, well, see you later. We got other things to do. And we move on to a match with the Samoans versus Adrian Adonis and Dick Murdoch. And we see that the Samoans lose due to a disqualification by touching Lou Albano due to typical Lou shenanigans. And next we have viewer mail. And it was a very special delivery for Lord Alfred Hayes, as it was delivered and sealed with a kiss. Next, Bruno Sammartino joins the set. And we learned from him that he runs 8 miles a day and he works out every night, and he is down
240 before he retired.
And we cut to a video of a match between him and the Brawler, and it was a soon-to-come UFC fight, is what it seemed like to be, much more of a wrestling match. And during the segment, Bruno Sammartino, we have his son, David Sammartino, and Ron Shaw. We know who wins that one.
Ron Shaw.
Of course, he wins all. David scoops up with a slam and gets the pinfall win victory. And right as we think that the Bruno Sammartino segment was not going to end, Big John interrupts and says, we're going to lift it again to 700 pounds. And this time, we're going to have Bruno help lift off. So we see John get under the bench, and we see that Vince McMahon, once again, is there for the lift off, does not put down the microphone, but through the grace of Python Powder, Big John Studd is able to bench the 700 pounds /
655
successfully. After that, we move to the Advice with the Lovelorn with Freddie Blassie. And if you want to hear that, you must go back to our previous episode and let's give that a listen. Next on the set, we have the Tonga Kid joining the set, and he brings his lovely ladies to dance. And we learn that he is wanting a chance to wrestle Roddy Piper due to the Jimmy Snuka incident that was done on the Piper's Pit. And we wrap up the segment with the Tonga Kid going against Ted Grizzly, which reminds us from Mr. Grizzly from Super Punch-Out!. And we notice we have a familiar face in the audience, and it's our old buddy Hillbilly Jim watching on the Tonga Kid versus Ted Grizzly. And then we have the Tonga Kid and Vince and Alfred doing some hula dancing, and then they go to have a luau. And then wrapping up TNT Titans, we have videos of JYD Junkyard Dog,
which some might say might be a secret nod that maybe is coming up on the next episode.
Maybe. I have no information on that yet. Can't say for sure.
Hi, I am Bosley and I am here with
Hulk Hogan.
Hulk, thanks for being part of this promo for the new Tag Team Podcast Shop campaign.
Sure, no problem.
For each shirt or item sold, a portion goes to the Tag Team Podcast to help fund the web bandwidth cost. We have shirts starting at $24.49.
Wow, that's unbelievable. If we sold all those shirts, where's my percentage?
Hulk, you don't get a percentage. Some of the money goes to the Tag Team Podcast since they are their shirts.
Those are my shirts. I've got a right to sell them.
Do you want to cash me outside? How about that?
That's not what I want. Look, man, I made a mistake. I apologize. I was a real horse's ass.
That's what I thought. To visit the Tag Team Pod Shop, go to shop.spreadshirt.com/the Tag Team Pod Shop, all one word, or click on the link in the description of this podcast or on the side of the web page.
Do it. Brother, I guess I blew that one.
It's okay, Hulk. Our listening audience are used to it.
That's for damn sure.
Let's do some recapping. Episode 13, Tuesday Night Titans, October 30th, 1984. This actually was on YouTube. Hooray! A little bit different version on YouTube too, at least at the end. Not too much difference with all the in-between, but at the end it was a little bit different than what we got on the network. Do you remember what the running gag?
Alfred Hayes was referred to as a Ghostbuster.
I wonder which one.
I don't know.
I'm not sure either. I don't think of him as a Peter Venkman, but
he's not an Egon, that's for sure.
No, he's not. Maybe he's Wilson.
He is a Wilson, isn't he?
Yeah, I think so. Our first clip was a rerun. Hooray! They had another rerun of Cobra Core training. Wasn't much different than what we saw last time, except it was a more condensed version. In case you fell asleep last week, they wanted to make sure you saw it this week. So we got to see Coon, the Coon Boys, and him do some more push-ups because he was out of uniform, and the weird lung guy that we couldn't understand his voice that looks like Baba Booey, and him giving his speech again about Iranians and Russians.
You think that's where racism come from, Sargent Slaughter?
I'm pretty sure that's where Donald Trump's like, hey, he's got some good ideas there. I want to do that one day when I become president.
I was listening to his propaganda. We don't want any Russians. We don't want any Iranians. Well, what'd they do that was so bad? You know, a little competition never hurt nobody.
Well, Iranians did kidnap some people a few decades ago. For them, it was just a few years. But yeah.
See, there you go. I think they get a bad rap.
I think it was pretty justifiable then. I don't know so much now, but another podcast for that kind of speak around here.
There you go. I put in the notes as I was watching the re-clip of Sargent Slaughter that this is why we don't let media into our personal lives. They just keep spreading it across the world. They just can't let it go. For it to be so secret of a base, they're doing a lot of talking and a lot of spreading the scene around.
Media likes to get their hype going when it's a slow news story and try to stretch it out as long as they can till the next big wave comes. So they bring Slaughter out this time, first time on set, and they go to talk about the Cobra Corps a little bit, and I found this little dandy kind of interesting.
The Cobra Corps was the toughest and, like you said, the elite. And I got so many cards and letters and phone calls from young men that wanted to go through the Cobra Corps. So I put a camp together, and I said, well, if you've got the guts, come on down. So we did it, and they all made it through, but none of them really impressed me enough to get into pro wrestling.
No, I consider that something else again.
That sucked. There's no way I would hire them to be wrestlers.
But they're good enough for the Cobra Corps.
Yeah, I don't know what that says about Terry Daniels.
He made it as a wrestler, didn't he? One time?
He was there for, I think, 3 whole matches on TNT, and now he's faded out into oblivion, never to be spoke of again, except for in trivia questions. So were you like me when you saw that rerun and thought, oh, cool, some additional footage?
No, I saw the rerun and thought, oh, look, it's the same again, except it's shorter version, which should have been the first version.
I was thinking, they'll show something here they didn't show last time. Nope, same thing, just condensed.
Time filler.
Exactly. Slaughter was saying he has a busy schedule and people stop him all the time, even though he has this big old camouflage limousine, which apparently doesn't do its job because people can find him pretty easily.
Yeah, not a fan of the, look at all the money I got, let's put camo for no reason.
Did say he was basically the biggest person in the world as far as popularity.
Oh yeah, probably.
I would think there'd be other people at the time, but apparently it was Sargent Slaughter.
It's only Slaughter.
Only Slaughter.
Don't hold that propaganda, you'll be voted out to Ukraine too.
Exactly.
Only Slaughter. Did you notice his sunglasses?
Yeah, I'm posting a clip out on Facebook of those handy dandy little sunglasses. I would like to say I think the story's fake, but it's a good story.
About Little Johnny?
Yep.
Little Johnny. Now, there's a lot of jokes about Little Johnny, and he's very vulgar, I have to say. I don't know what happened to him in the 80s and the 2000s.
Yeah, I'm not sure either.
But I think the story was a little boy named Johnny gave him those glasses in remembrance of his father that died in the Vietnam War.
Allegedly. Yep, that's what they're going with.
And the glasses have United States flag watermarked in the frames. And Vince says it might be a little hard to look through those glasses due to the design. And Slaughter says, when you're looking through the stars and stripes, you can see everything. Which I don't think that's true.
No, I don't think so either.
I think it'd be a little harder to do it.
No, not too many people are wearing flags over their heads.
Not anymore, anyway.
So they go to a match, and we get to see Sargent Slaughter and the return from his Brawl to End It All debut, Charlie Fulton.
Big F.
And that's exactly how he fared in this match. On commentary, we had Vince McMahon and Bruno Sammartino. And Bruno basically showed why he didn't last too long as a commentator. He was kind of absent through most of this match.
Yeah, and when cutting to the match at first, I looked on Charlie's face and he just says, all right, let's just get this over with. I think he knew already he's going to lose. He was not happy about this at all.
To add injury to insult, they let all the kids and somehow some adults got in there. Maybe they were the kid chaperones into the ring after the match. So yeah, not only did he have to lose, he had to get that guy out of there quick.
Did you notice people kind of pulled a Paul Orndorff there, and 3 minutes later, after the song ended, he finally just got in the ring after he started touching and waving flags and kissing babies like the mayor, high-fiving the American flag and throwing camouflage jackets around.
Yeah, it took him a while to get in there, and then also once he was in there, I noticed he had new attire. No longer was he wearing any camo. He was wearing a special red, white, and blue type outfit, where his top was white and red and his trunks were blue.
It's a new era.
Yeah, at least for a little while. We won't go into the future here, but yeah, for at least for now.
I didn't see him with the sunglasses. Did you see the sunglasses?
Those were only for TV appearances and special BS stories.
Well, see, I thought so too, but during the segment of whenever he was talking with Vince, he claimed that he wore them when he went to talk shows and whenever he wrestled. So, gotcha.
Maybe he's thinking of Tito Santana, and when I'm in the hospital, and when they do surgery on me.
That would have been an appropriate time to wear sunglasses for the United States of America, for sure.
They cut back to stage, and he was talking about a 97-year-old lady's wanting to join the Corps, and he said he follows all world sports. They go back really to show the kids afterwards, even after the match. They don't show the kids right away. They go back to show the kids inside the ring after they take a commercial break. So I'm not really sure why they had to take a commercial break for that. Vince already teased it before the match even started by showing, coming up next, you see all these people in the ring with Slaughter.
You noticed when the ring started filling up, Sargent Slaughter kind of got closer to the turnbuckles as the ring started getting fuller.
Smart man.
Oh yeah, he got the hell out of there is what he did.
They actually did that, and of course this is on actually it might be on the same budget since it's 1984 WWF, but ECW did that in Kissimmee one year, and the ring just collapsed under the weight of all the people that were in there. Of course, these weren't kids, these were mostly adults, but yeah.
I thought you were going to talk about the time when Terry Funk said, give me some chairs, and they filled the ring up with chairs.
Yeah, they had some of those moments in there as well. Vince does a little tease, and it becomes a Paul Orndorff interview, if you will.
Sarge will join us later on, and we shall return with more TNT in just a moment.
And I never saw Sargent Slaughter join him again, so I guess he got lost.
I think that's the theme with the characters, because I believe after every interview, he asked them to stay after. I'm not sure what he had planned. Maybe the dancing and the blue suede shoes we never seen. Maybe he was wanting to get a group of people together.
Maybe so. We will touch on that at the end, but yeah, there were some things left out on this broadcast.
The next,
yeah, I'll let you just touch away on this one.
I ain't got nothing to touch on this. The next segment we have is Brutus Beefcake does a strip tease for some women.
Yes, and I'm looking forward especially to one of my favorite personalities, a new personality, Brutus Beefcake.
Yes, I understand he's going to take it off.
Yes.
Interesting.
I don't like the way Alfred was laughing.
He was a little more excited than the people at the rest home that Beefcake was at.
Yeah. Yes. Calm down, Alfred.
I think the only thing I took from this segment is when you're doing a strip tease, make sure you stay awfully close to your manager. Don't go dance with the ladies. Make sure you stay by the manager.
I'm glad you warned me about this. I took a little bit of a break.
Many times.
Didn't have to watch as much as I probably should have to be a good journalist, reporter, investigator, broadcaster, podcast person. I don't know. So I didn't really pay too much attention to it. I did get some screenshots that I really didn't want to get, but I felt they were necessities of this one lady that was dancing a little bit too much and was a little bit too into it. And yes, eventually she got to dance with...
You mean she was drunk?
Yeah, I think they all were. She got to dance with Mr. Eddie Leslie there, and she was happy. But yeah, she was a little bit too into it compared to some of the other ones. So got a screen cap of her, and she'll be up there on Facebook, and a couple other screen caps of women just wanting to touch him. I gotta touch him.
For no reason.
Yeah, it's like, let the man do his thing.
Seriously, him and Johnny Valiant was fine over in the corner dancing. All these women just started appearing out of nowhere.
Couldn't help but wonder what the original song was, because we know that wasn't what they played when it originally aired. They played some 80s song that they had the rights to, or there were no rights at the time. They just had to dub over it with that weird porn music.
I'm trying to think of an 80s song that they would have used.
I'm not sure when it came out, but a lot that was used in the early 90s, and it might have been a 90s song, was Raining Men. But I don't know if that came out in the 80s or in fact it was a 90s song. I'm not sure what they would
Could have been the YMCA.
Possibility. He didn't do any hand things, though. I would think he'd have to do that even, but who knows.
He could have been the construction guy, just forgot his hard hat.
If any of the listeners has the original copy and would like to write in to the Tag Team Podcast at gmail.com, feel free. Let us know what that original song was.
Ladies.
Not something I'd want to watch myself, so you can keep the tape, but just let me know what the song was. So they go back, and to spare some people, 22 minute 26 seconds to the 26 minute 16 second mark. Just skip over that and you'll be good. It'll be a better TNT for you. You'll miss all that. That they go back on set and they bring out Brutus Beefcake with Johnny Luscious Valiant.
Oh, yeah,
He kind of reminded me, I don't know if you're familiar with Tony Clifton, the alter ego for Mr. Andy Kaufman until Bob Zmuda took over the role.
Somewhat familiar, yes.
I think I'll post something up there on Facebook or YouTube of Tony Clifton. Reminded me kind of, I guess just the way he talked and stuff reminded me of the mannerisms of Tony Clifton. So I couldn't help but think about that for a lot. And did you play the same game that I played when he was talking about the WWF?
No, my notes were, I have no idea what the hell he's talking about. I don't really feel that Beefcake needs a mouthpiece. I think he did better on his own than Johnny Valiant.
If you guys want to play a good drinking game during this episode, then every time you hear Johnny Valiant say the Worldwide Wrestling Federation, which they hadn't been called since 1979, and this was 1984, take a drink. And just to sum it up, I got a clip.
As a human being in the Worldwide Wrestling Federation, make my reappearance in the Worldwide Wrestling Federation with some, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, wrestling fans of the Worldwide Wrestling Federation, and bring some yo-yo here into the Worldwide Wrestling Federation. Worldwide Wrestling Federation fans, ladies and gentlemen, Worldwide Wrestling Federation fans.
I count 7 times he said Worldwide Wrestling Federation.
Hold on, I ain't done drinking. I'm trying to catch up.
That second clip there was leather. It sounded like farting, but it happened a couple of times, and it was, I guess, Beefcake's leather arm thing or something. But I got a still shot of that, too, because first time it happens, you see Vince's eyebrow raise up like, what the heck? I'll play it one more time. I think it's the second Worldwide Wrestling Federation. You'll hear a little...
Reappearance in the Worldwide Wrestling Federation with some...
Yeah.
Either it's that or his microphone where it's on his vest or it's in his jacket.
It was definitely something apparel related for sure. I thought it was a fart the first time, but then it happened some other times too. I'm like, oh, that's clothing then. I would like to think it was a fart, and the Vince did too that first time. So the first screen cap I got was Vince giving the people's eyebrow there.
So moving from the noises, we cut to Mr. Beefcake versus Tony Guerrera.
Good old Tony Guerrera running out there like he just got off commentating or something. It's like, oh crap, I'm up. And he was still running to the ring while the guy was introducing him. So I got a little still shot of that too. I thought that was a little funny. Gets tied up in the ropes with his foot.
He needs to slow down. Ain't nobody going anywhere.
Still gonna lose regardless of how fast you get there.
Guarantee it.
It's all good.
Soak it in, man.
It was good old Gorilla and Mean Gene on commentary for this one.
I thought it was a decent all-around match. I think Tony would have beat him the second pinfall if the referee would have been just a little bit quicker on the downfall. But I thought that Beefcake was going to lose this one. I was like, well, here's number 3 of the guests on TNT that get beat when they're in the spotlight. But with some illegal choking and some forearms, Beefcake happened to slither away with the pinfall.
Did you notice a little bit of the botch that went on before the match started with Gorilla making commentary about the forearm apparel?
Are you referring to the stripes?
Yeah, he had the stripes on as well. I can't remember I think he might have had the same shiny thing that he wore on set first. Either that or he had the stripes on his forearms, and they're like, oh, that should be illegal. And then he's taking it off right as they say that. It's like, damn, that didn't work out too well. It was just part of the entrance attire. Calm down, guys.
It did take him forever to get everything undone. So
that's not what the ladies thought. But Guerrero, pretty much, yeah, he owned the first part of the match. It was pretty much all him. Apparently, Brutus is still working on a finisher. He did a high knee this time instead of the earthquake sit-down pin.
Looked a little better.
Yeah, I think he keeps that for a good while because it sounds like high knee, like a butt. So I think that's the running gag with that. He's doing a high knee. We know eventually from our days that it'll end up being a sleeper hole, but not for a while.
Yeah.
They go back on stage, and Vince wants Brutus to talk because no one's ever heard him talk. And then basically Brutus Beefcake goes all George the Animal Steel and finally speaks.
Brutus Beefcake.
Awesome.
That's the only 2 words you'll need to know, baby.
He's no Salvatore Palumbo, that's for sure.
Yeah, no, definitely not.
Even though I did have to severely amplify that clip to actually be able to hear him because he was not that loud on there. I don't even think they had a mic on him, though. We go to, after that, our first jip of the episode. Big John Studd versus Welcome Back S.D. Jones. Got Gorilla Monsoon and Lord Alfred Hayes on commentary. Interesting commentary going on during this match as well.
I liked how Alfred coached OSD Jones the whole way.
Yep, and then they talked about juicing for better lack of word.
Well, there's that old scar tissue we were referring to earlier on. Once you get it, in this particular sport, you don't get a chance to let it heal up properly.
Well, you do, you just don't blade yourself every night, but back then you did.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, scar tissue. They always seem to have it on the forehead. It's amazing.
Never gets to heal. He tells you why. Well, there's always on the forehead.
Rough headbutts from S.D. Jones capitalized on that scar tissue. Made him look like $1 million for most of this match.
Speaking of $1 million.
Yeah, 15 grand.
There is 15 grand, that's right, up for whoever can body slam Big John Studd.
And it was almost S.D. Jones's.
If it had been a tag match, they'd had to split the money. Because S.D. Jones would have got it.
Big John Studd was able to grab the ropes, and that was basically the turning point in the match right there.
Oh, yeah.
I did see S.D. go outside the ring one time, and just the camera just happened to be there at the right time to see the man going around selling the Hulk Hogan fingers. Buy your fingers, kids, $8. And I got a still shot of that I'll put up there on Facebook.
Marketing, gotta love it.
Yeah, it's good product placement there. Just in time for ST to go out, and here comes the man selling the fingers right there on TV, front and center. So a lot of headbutts. Big John Studd scar tissue, as they're calling it, comes open and starts bleeding till we get some blood and no blue boxes. The blue box has left the TNT broadcast for quite some time now.
I was a little worried about it.
I was too. I think it might have went with Terry Danielson that went off to the sunset.
Hulk Hogan was their superstar. The blue box just protected his honor on TV.
Can't show your superstar getting all bloody. Blue box.
No, yeah, that's right. Put a blue box on him. It's gonna cover his whole face. I don't care. Better than blood. All right. Why didn't they put a Hulk Hogan finger there in the little blue box? What they should have did.
There you go.
Little advertisement.
If only they had it back in that episode. Man, Vince, what the hell? So Big John Studd finishes him off with his patent big elbow drop for the win. And then Big John Studd taunts Hogan, and Bobby's taunting Hammond Eggers after the match.
I think they invited the referee to body slam Big John Studd.
Yeah, I thought he was going to take it up on it. He said, yeah, sure, I'll give it a go. And then never showed it happening, so I'm pretty sure he did it. And that's why we've never seen that ref to this day. He got his payday.
Yep, so that referee, I wonder if he got with the other referee and finally paid off Tito's debt.
Possibility. I did happen to stumble upon a couple episodes back. I looked up Hammond Eggers, and sure enough, there is a place in Connecticut called Hammond Eggers Restaurant, and it's Uncle Bob's, I think, Hammond Eggers. So no doubt, I think they are paying a tribute to Bobby the Brain Heenan.
Coincidence?
Still in business, to my knowledge, too. It's a little bit outside of Stamford, but it is in that same area as WWE Titan Towers would be.
So, are you saying road trip?
Heck yeah, come to the Tag Team Podcast meetup. We'll be there next Saturday. Well, maybe not next Saturday. We'll announce and we'll be there.
Yeah, we'll make an event on Facebook. That'll be fun. So our next segment we have is Advice to the Lovelorn segment with Johnny Valiant.
They went out of order big time on this episode. This is usually like towards the end. And it's like, what the hell? They're doing it like the third thing right after the second match they had. I was very, very upset, as I imagine you were too, for other reasons that we'll get to a little bit later in this episode.
I don't know what they were thinking.
But yeah, I was not happy. And parents, just so you're warned,
Some listeners may find the following clip disturbing. Parental discretion is advised.
Ooh.
Continue.
We have question number 1. After watching the fabulous physiques in the WWF, my husband doesn't compare to them. What is a woman to do? Johnny Valiant replies with, consider yourself lucky that you have somebody. Quit looking over other people's shoulders. Quit looking at the guy mowing your lawn. And be grateful for what you have, which I thought was an unexpected answer.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he got all the segment, what it was supposed to be like. Maybe never watched the other two. I know he hadn't watched product since 1979. His Worldwide Wrestling Federation told me that. But yeah, Vince sums it up with the grass is not always greener on the other side.
Which is true, ladies and gentlemen. So stay on your side of the fence. And then the second question he says is, my wife and I emulate some of the wrestlers on TNT. Some of the wrestlers include the Executioner, the Spoiler, and
Scara, Man of 1,000 Masks.
And he says that recently that I put a mask on my wife and it really started to improve things. And he just wanted to suggest that he reads this to his viewers as to give them, some hope if there's some issues going on and to let people know, hey, it's a good idea. And Johnny Valiant says there's nothing wrong with a woman that wears a mask.
Yep, some of Johnny's best friends wear masks.
I believe he commented that he had an ex-wife that wore masks. It's not a negative thing. So kudos. Ladies, get your masks on.
Kudos indeed. That's what I say.
And we had a third person write in. She says, I'm different. I'm a female, but I'm very attractive, wealthy, but I'm very much into ugly men. Are there any WWF wrestlers that would fit the bill? And Johnny Valiant says, yeah. We got Hulk Hogan. Yeah, we got Tito Santana. And we got Junkyard Dog would be one. And we got USA number 1, Mr. Sargent Slaughter would be a good fit for you.
They threw Slaughter in, and at the end, it was taking a turn for the worse.
It was getting ugly.
Yes.
Then we have the final question, and I have a fantasy. I've seen many matches in the WWF, and I would like to be involved in a 20-man battle royal. And they want to know if that's crazy, and Mr. Valiant states that they have to be crazy to wish something like that. That being in there with 20 different men in a battle royal would be not only crazy, but bad for your health.
Good insurance or death wish.
Could be.
I cannot speak for this person. I would assume that this person would, in some fashion, fantasizes about being in the ring with 16 to 20 men in some sort of their own concoction of a battle royal. That's what I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying.
I don't think Valiant really understands what this battle royal would consist of.
I think we got our preview with Wendy Richter winning in her Kisses of Victory party.
Oh, yeah.
Might have been Wendy Richter that wrote in. Hadn't seen her in a while.
Could have been. So, hey, is this okay to do? I think that's what it is.
Sure is, you freaking...
Oh. Oh. With that, let's go to break. Let's let John calm down.
Next up, we get an interview with Junkyard Dog.
Something strange in the wrestling ring. That's his motto.
I think they left out some music because as soon as he gets up there, they talk about that good music that was just playing. But on our side, all what we heard was clapping that was obviously dubbed over for the music. Didn't take long to get into food topic. They talk about his size, and then size leads to food, and foods leads to wrinkle steak.
Now, what is
wrinkle steaks?
Is that's nothing that England would import it?
Oh man, they got wrinkle steaks in England. I know. I call them, in my neighborhood we call them chitlin, hog chitlin.
Chitlins.
Wrinkle steaks in New York. You might go to a restaurant and have a big stand that says wrinkle steak, but it's chitlin.
I still don't understand.
Oh, we'll taste it. We'll taste it. I'll let you
Chickens,
taste it.
did you say?
No, not
chitlins.
It's close to. Well, it's from the same yard as chickens, I guess.
What are those?
Vince tries to explain. We all know Vince and JYD come out of the same yard.
Yep.
Vince tries to act like, oh, I never heard of these foods before. Shut up. Yeah, you have.
They didn't have those in North Carolina. Question. Have you ever tried chitlins?
I have.
I have as well. I've had them 2 different ways. I must say, just like most foods, fried tastes a lot better than broiled.
I think I've only had them fried. Like I was advised, hey, eat these fried. Don't mess around with that broiled stuff.
It's hard to have them boiled, but it looks like they had them on the set. They were boiled, but it's kind of hard to tell for sure. It didn't look like any breading was on them.
Thanks. I couldn't tell. Those dishes were kind of everywhere. But yes, we do know that JYD come out of North Carolina State. When he graduated high school, he was at 285, which was one of the biggest that year. And JYD states that he grew up on collard greens, cornbread, black-eyed peas, ham hock, good old country boy food, which I grew up on the same foods as well. And he will get fat, that's for sure.
Indeed. They're not known for the low calories here in North Carolina or in the South.
Nope. We're going to die happy, damn it. Or, as we say, we're going to taste our death.
There you go. But they never touch on, I guess, for all the viewers that aren't familiar with chitlins, they're actually pig intestines. So, for all those of you that didn't know.
Spoiler alert.
Yep, spoiler. But at least if you come down here and you see it on the menu, you'll know what you're eating before you know what you're eating. Unlike Alfred, who probably still has no clue what he was eating.
Nope. Yeah, it don't take long, like you say, to get into the food, and JYD says, it's time to eat, fellas. And gets up and brings some ladies from the Yellow Bowl.
Yes.
Which is a local restaurant in town, which I don't know if they're still around.
I did some investigating.
Oh?
They are not still around.
Oh.
I believe as of 2014, they closed, and the property's looking pretty shabby. I'll put a screen capture up there that I got from Google Street View of what the property looked like as of 2000, I think it was 16 that the picture was from. But yes, unfortunately, they did not last, and I'll also put up an article if you want to read about their foreclosing.
That would be an interesting read.
Yeah, it's nice and short, shows how long they've been in there, and that it was kind of a staple for the area, but if you look at the building, it looks terrible, and it was probably a blessing that they didn't continue there before it got condemned. So yes, unfortunately the Yellow Bowl is no more. So,
and I did note we come to 3 little tables, and on one table I believe we saw yams, chitlins, smothered chicken, has some collard greens, and short ribs of beef, peach cobbler, rice, and had some corn muffins. Yes, I'm getting hungry. I was getting hungry watching it. I was like, oh, this is ecstasy.
They were filling up what they serve around here a lot of times on Sunday dinners and at some of the restaurants.
The old K&W.
There you go. Vince finally gets Alfred to try some chitlins or chickens or whatever Alfred wants to call them. But before he does, JD says, you gotta put some hot sauce on that. So Vince puts a lot of hot sauce on that.
Not tomato sauce.
Yeah, not tomato sauce, which Lord Alfred Hayes thought it was because everything reads tomato sauce. So they put too much on there, and he says it tastes unusual besides hot. But he seems to like it because he goes back to it a couple times during this segment. Lord Alfred Hayes liked chitlins.
And there was no water, by the way. So he was actually a trooper for sticking it out.
Yes, he was. I believe Lord Alfred Hayes was excited too about eating the food in general.
If there's any hope for Alfred, what if he started now on this nutrition?
Oh man, it make you feel like a new man in the morning.
Really will?
Yep.
I'd like to feel like a new man. I'd like to feel like a man even.
Yeah, after this enthusiasm against Brutus Beefcake earlier, I'd like him to feel like a man as well.
Yeah, I think after that hot sauce run through him, pretty sure he's going to feel like a new man in the morning.
Yep, whole new colon cleansing going on.
Oh, yeah. And then next, I believe he tries some ribs.
Well, they go to a match next. They go to some JYD, Jip Paul Vachon versus JYD, and we were talking off air. I think this is probably the match they showed prior, just different footage of the same match, more footage. Only thing I noticed on this one was, of course, Jack Reynolds and Angela Moscow doing commentary because we're back up in Maple Leaf Wrestling territory, but also that Mr. JYD's trunks letterings were falling off, unfortunately. So that'll have to get repaired after the match.
But it was the same outcome.
Same outcome. He gets a win. We get some biting on Vachon after some back rakes and a big thump slam for the win. And then we go back on set.
Actually, he was returning the favor for scratching his back. He figured he'd nibble on his ear.
Yeah, you scratch my back, I'll bite your ear. I think that's Tyson's motto as well.
Tyson was, you headbutt me, I'll bite you. That was the excuse.
So then they come back and eat some ribs. They showed the recipe prior to going to the match, and then magically it's all cooked through television magic. Lord Alfred Hayes was a little bit confused on how to eat ribs, though.
Is there a plate somewhere? Please?
No, just pick one up, Alfred. Come on, pick it up with your hands.
Yes, you have a knife and fork, please.
Use the phalanges, man, your fingers.
Hands.
This is ribs, Alfred.
Ribs? Well,
you picked them up with your fingers, Alfred.
Well, I don't. Do you have a finger bowl?
We have a finger bowl. Anybody in the control room have a finger bowl? We're fresh out of finger bowls, Alfred.
Fresh out.
Do we get a finger bowl? Finger bowl, anybody?
Piper will give you a finger bowl, Alfred.
All 5.
Yep, into next Sundays.
I get the feeling that Alfred's high maintenance.
Yeah, it's hard to believe he was a wrestler.
Yeah, but he did end up liking the ribs after all. I think he said it was good enough for His Majesty and anybody else.
Yep, he's a rib eater, likes chitlins, and loves cobbler. He had some peach cobbler on there, and he was chowing down on that as well.
Regular country boy.
Exactly. And next, they go out of order and go with, I'm going to mispronounce this, but here I go, Baron Michael Soschla. I don't know. I call call him BMS, so that's what his name is to me.
BMS.
Yep, BMS. He knew Hayes quite well, it seemed like, when he got introduced. And they go to a match, and it's BMS, Curtis King Alakea versus Chief J and Sonny King, who reminds me of Titus O'Neil, Titus Ran. And actually on this one would be one of the ones that I was talking about earlier, where they play up on there and we see who wins.
We don't know.
Well, they don't show who wins on this one, but they do show that it looks like they had help of a foreign object from King Alakea, so we're guessing that probably they won because the ref wasn't disqualifying them. We had to see him hit him with the object and then go down for the pin, but we never actually see the 3 count, so we'll just assume that they won. And then he tells a story. BMS goes back on set and he tells a story about Lord Alfred Hayes. I don't remember the story. I didn't write that down, but it was something of the nature of, can you believe this guy did this and this guy did that? You know who that guy was? It was Lord Alfred Hayes. And they had a good laugh about it. Before the Iron Sheik Volkoff Jip Festival, did you notice what happened at the 117 mark?
No, I did not.
Squeaky Door is back.
Oh, no.
You hear it in the background along with some talking, I guess, either from possibly the ladies over there in the cooking segment or maybe the stage people around there, maybe talking to the ladies. I don't know. Not only did you have a you also had some talking down there.
I was really hoping that there would be no Squeaky Door.
No, Squeaky Door lives on. We're gonna get
Squeaky Door is back.
Look for that t-shirt. It'll be on Spreadshirt within a month or so. Next, we have our Jip Fest. They want to show off what we suggested a couple episodes ago. Freddie Blassie's newest tag team, Iron Sheik and Volkoff, because he manages both. Why not have them on a tag team?
That's right. 2 birds, 1 stone, baby.
Yeah. We know Slaughter hates them both, so I can't wait to see that handicap match.
It's got to be a handicap.
Yep. Cobra Core members aren't cut to wrestle. Good luck, Slaughter. Have fun.
Unless Coon and Coon decides to walk him to the ring.
On commentary, we got Vince McMahon and Bruno Sammartino again. And for bonus, did you catch the jobbers?
Did not catch the jobbers, who they were.
Yes. Had to do some serious digging here. It was the Joe brothers, Joe Marito and Joe Moscala.
The Joe brothers.
No, they weren't called the Joe brothers. I just call them that. What's the chances of you having 2 guys that are both enhancement talent that are both named Joe?
About the same chances you are of having 2 cadets named Coon in Cobra Core.
Exactly. Very good odds in the WWF. Volkoff wins with a side knee drop. Then they go to the next Iron Sheik Volkoff match. And I know you caught who these 2 guys were.
That was... I'm thinking, hang on. I didn't write them down because I thought, oh, that's them. It was our boat builder guy, Salvatore Palumbo, and
and his tag team partner,
Mr. Lombardi, the Brooklyn Brawler.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we'll name this tag team the Brooklyn Baller Boat Club. And it was just Vince on commentary for this one because no one else wanted to do it with him. And Iron Sheik wins with a camel clutch on Brooklyn Brawler. Last match, Iron Sheik Volkoff versus Brian Madden and Rodney Parment. And the announcers were...
We don't know.
I could not make it out. It was some new people for sure. Maybe Freddie Miller finally got his own solo gig. I don't know. It was definitely none of the prior announcers that I can say for sure. No names were dropped, so I have no clue who was announcing this one. But alas, Iron Sheik wins with a camel clutch submission.
Wonder what the next episode, we're going to get an international war going.
I'm sure before the end of the season, I would think that shots will be fired between Sargent Slaughter and this newly formed tag team of evil that Slaughter is trying to rid the U.S. of.
Evil doers.
Exactly.
And then, what do we have next week?
Next week, we have the Iron Sheik and Volkoff. No, next week we have Captain Lou Albano, Barry Windham, and the father of Bray Wyatt and Bo Dallas, Mike Rotundo, Mr. IRS himself.
I always heard good things about Barry Windham, so I would be interested to see him coming into the WWF.
I think it was before my time that I appreciated good wrestlers. I was was, like I said, I was a cartoon guy. I was hooked on the over-the-top comic book cartoony guys, so he didn't fit that mold, but he's pretty well respected by all the people that are legendary, so I imagine he was probably a pretty good guy.
Oh yeah, he's part of the Four Horsemen, of course.
Yeah, one of 48 members that they had. But yeah, the one that Ric Flair acknowledges and says was the best version of the team. Take that, Ole Anderson.
Aha, Ole Cannoli, you're out of here, bud.
So what we noticed for episode 13, as mentioned before, the segments were all out of regular order. You usually don't have food and culture, and then go back and do some nostalgia matches, and then do chip matches. Usually food and culture is dead last or second to last, and here it was like third to last. And then of course we found out by the intranets that we missed JYD showing Vince and Lord Alfred Hayes how to breakdance, and we missed Johnny Valiant and Vince singing Blue Suede Shoes.
I don't
both agreed that it's probably due to music that they had to cut those, because I'm sure they were playing popular music for the breakdancing as well as don't have the rights for Blue Suede Shoes.
Yeah, I was disappointed when I was reading through my notes and had seen that once again we missed Vince singing twice. Vince, get it together.
Yeah, at least in the last one he was on YouTube. This time he's not even on that.
Yep.
They did do a better job at cutting it off on YouTube, because on the end towards the ending of this show they had a abrupt ending that made you think, oh, they're coming back and they're about to play something when they come back, because it was kind of open-aired that, oh, when we come back we're going to show you this and this, and a most unusual ending, and yeah, that didn't quite happen, so.
It was an unusual ending, though.
Yeah, it was. Here's the audio clip of what we're talking about.
When we return, ladies and gentlemen, a word about the next edition of TNT and a most unusual occurrence.
Nope, roll those credits and let's get the heck out of here.
I think that's when Vince was talking. He said, next we're going to talk about, then he kind of swallows there for a second. I could see the guy, the cameraman. No, we're not doing it. We're just getting the hell out of here. We're tired.
On 24/7, the ending was a little bit better job at cutting whatever they weren't showing than they did on the network. So if you go to the YouTube clip, the ending's a little bit different than that one.
Both of them certainly knocking on the door of the championship. Certainly wholeheartedly invite you all back for the next episode of TNT.
Essentially, it's the same thing. They just did a better job at it, ending it abruptly.
Yeah, I was a little disappointed at the ending, but I guess the way everything's going, it doesn't really shock me either.
Did you notice what was missing from this episode?
Besides a woman being there? No dancers?
No dancers.
No Wendy Richter?
No. Can't let me down, man. You gotta know what's missing.
I have to let you down. I know as soon as you say it, we're like, oh, you're exactly right.
This was your favorite part of every episode, I thought. There was no mailbag.
There was no mailbag. Well, did they do...
Doubled up the questions for Lovelorn and did no mailbag. Last week it was 1 question and the rest Lovelorn for a total of 4. This week, 4 questions, all Lovelorn, no mailbag. Yes, the writers got tired of making up 2 sets of questions and they just went with 1 set of made-up questions.
Sounds about right.
But yeah, there was no mailbag. I figured you would be irate and probably would have to pull yourself together just to be able to do this podcast, but I guess I was wrong.
No, I think the 20-man Battle Royal kind of took my mind off the mailbag segment. Then we had all that good food. Well, I guess that's okay. We can make an exception.
You probably erased the first half of your brain with the Brutus Beefcake, trying to erase that from memory. I understand a little bit.
That was a terrifying moment.
Yes, for sure.
In the most unusual way to introduce a wrestler.
Did you happen to notice the darkness when they switched cameras in the opening? And it happened a little bit later in the show as well. They were talking, it was before they went to camera 2 at all. They were just talking with camera 1 on, and then they cut to camera 2, and it gets dark in that studio real quick, and then all of a sudden it starts to lighten up.
You mean like somebody forgot to hit the light switch?
Like that camera's going out or something.
You're blaming camera versus the actual lights on the set?
I will, only because it happened twice, and it wasn't all in the beginning segment. If it didn't happen that second time, I could say someone forgot to do something, but it happened again later on in the show.
Okay.
I did take a screen cap of it. I got a screen cap when they first went to the camera camera when it was very dark, and then a few seconds later when it lightened back up, so people could see the difference on that. So you will see what I'm talking about, seeing how you might have missed it.
May not have panned out on the network, so I didn't watch the YouTube version of it, or maybe I just didn't notice it. Maybe I didn't notice it was as dark as it was.
You had to catch it at the right time. It was only for maybe 3 seconds tops, so if you looked away for 3 seconds, then yeah, and they were talking, they weren't showing anything, it was just them talking to each other.
As if they put the contrast back in.
Yeah, it was like a color dimming contrast, something of that nature.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about, now that you mentioned that.
And the last thing that I think happened was, I think going off what I saw for the matches prior to doing up the format for the show, is they probably added some more Iron Sheik Volkoff matches to make up for the missing segments, because it looked like there was really only possibly one Volkoff and Sheik match, and then they just, well, we got them on there, let's do 3 in a row like we've been doing for the past 2 episodes now.
Well, let's hope it leads somewhere.
Let's not, but yeah, sure.
It'd just be a waste of time there to show those 3 matches.
Wouldn't be the first time.
I have hope.
I'm still waiting for Palumbo to win his second match. Apparently he's just a glorified jobber. Been on the show twice, and it's only 1-1 match.
Well, he's still learning the American way of wrestling.
And interviews.
Yeah, and interviews too. Sorry, Bob Backlund put him in his place.
We think. We never saw the ending. Maybe he reversed it. That's why they didn't want to show it to us.
Yeah, he may have reversed it after Bob Backlund left the ring. He may finally revert it.
Well, looking forward to next week's episode 14. We got 3 left to go in this season, and then we are on vacation for a little while we try to build up our bank.
Money, money, money.
Money.
What do you want? You keep touching my leg.
So, thank you for listening to Tag Team Podcast. Be sure to download multiple devices many times. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell your friends of your family, tell your family's friends to listen to the Tag Team Podcast.
Thank you for listening to the Tag Team Podcast. Join Jeff and John next week as they continue to break down WWF Tuesday Night Titans.
Ooh. Strut your stuff.